I'll just take liberty of concluding the kind of panel discussion and then throw it open to for the questions. You see, the topic that was given for this panel was really accounting, taxation, and valuation. We broadly and largely discussed around valuation. We have summarily talked about taxation. We've kind of briefly touched upon accounting. However, I have certain kind of issues when it comes to accounting, whereas each of the jurisdictions would have a different treatment. By and large, fundamentally, I've never understood as to why creation of IP, which is through research and development, goes as a line item in profit and loss account as expenses to be deducted, whereas acquisition of IP can be capitalized and amortized over the period of time. I think IFRS is not addressing those questions. Most of the jurisdictional tax authorities and tax laws don't address that question. Because if one were to look at it, if I'm creating IP, I need to monetize. There's no two ways about it. I need to make sure that I'm earning money. And if creation of IP goes in as a line item for expenses in the profit and loss account, and acquisition of IP, if I were to kind of acquire it, purchase it, that goes as probably a capital block of assets, amortized over a period of time, there is something wrong fundamentally with the manner in which all of us as kind of IPR professionals look at these issues and need to take it up with the authorities at various levels in terms of making sure that the accounting treatment is done correctly. There's something skewed here which probably demotivates somebody from innovating or creating IPs in a very different way. We've had in India some of the kind of discussions around this where we came back and said that probably the new Innovation Act that we talked about in 2011, if it had seen the light of the day, it could have addressed this issue in terms of promoting innovation through accounting and reporting into the accounting. So obviously, I think that's one area which I just wanted to briefly touch upon insofar as accounting part of IP is concerned. I think there's a long way before we can kind of go through that route to say that accounting treatments to intangible assets as IPs is not merely creation of a goodwill in the books around the brand or around the patents, but it has to go beyond that. Having said that, I'll just briefly kind of touch upon what the panel members have discussed and then request for questions. Julia talked about the transfer pricing, and I think amongst the valuation part of it, most of the speakers, I mean almost everybody, recognized one fact that probably why do you value your IP? One of the correlation is the necessity under the transfer pricing regulations. And the transfer pricing regulations today have challenges in terms of definitions. If you look at, even as Julia said, OECD definition and the US definition, I think there is somewhere inconsistency. If that is so, if somebody doesn't exercise jurisdiction to jurisdiction, I can speak for India, for example, in terms of what goes in the definition of intangibles there, when it comes to transfer pricing, it's completely different from what the global standards are. So obviously definition is something which is an issue, because I think transfer pricing by default is cross-border, and therefore the definitions need to be aligned. OECD guideline has come in. India is not a member of OECD yet, but obviously I think we're following some principles of OECD, some guidelines of OECD, but not in its full sense. We're not yet members. And I think there are jurisdictional challenges there when it comes to definition. One of the points that Julia raised was very critical when it came to US. I think the SEC regulations require a disclosure with respect to your IP licensing authorities, IP licensing arrangements that are material. Now, materiality threshold notwithstanding, if that is the step forward in terms of making it more comparable globally, because nothing works more than the peer group pressure when it comes to what rates are to be driven at a marketplace between a buyer and a seller, I think That's where we need to look at what are these disclosure and disclosure norms or the disclosure requirements across the sectors that would be available. Maybe this could be driven through corporate governance guidelines and corporate governance regimes. One of the things which probably on the transfer pricing and the valuation is emerging, and this I'm just kind of trying to go back and said, how did we do this in a different scenario? We had a huge issue here in Mumbai with respect to the real estate prices at which the transactions were being reported. The problem was there was a lot of cash component that used to go in a deal, and a buyer was forced to pay cash component to the developer or the seller. Government was losing out on its revenue through the stamp duty on the sale and buy transactions. So government, one of the ways of looking at it was, and earlier the stamp duty used to be correlated, excuse me, with respect to transactions that took place in the neighborhood, in the adjacent plot of the land, in the adjacent apartment. But that was a misnomer because all the transactions took place which had a large cash component and a small white component. So the government thought it was losing out on the revenue. Eventually, I think what emerged was a ready reckoner where government said, when it comes to stamp duty purposes, we are telling you at what rate we are going to charge the stamp duty locality by locality. I think it may not be very far off because I think there are international treaties that are driving towards common practices. We're talking about GARD coming all across everywhere. And I think when this gets streamlined, probably you may have a ready reckoner across in terms of the transfer pricing related issues, even on intangibles. Ravi talked a lot about in terms of SEP and in terms of what is probably the right royalty. And I think all of us have been talking about this example where Ericsson and Microsoft kind of ad interim injunction, although it's a long way. All of us know the kind of Indian justice delivery system and how long it takes to kind of come to the final conclusion. Having said that, at the interim and ad interim stage, what we have is some kind of royalties that are being debated. But what is